Joining me now is Eunice Davidson from South Dakota. She's the president of the Native American Guardians. Miss Davidson, great to have you with us.
Yes, good morning, John. Nice to be on your show, and I need to correct you. I'm from North Dakota. I'm a enrolled member of our tribe, the Spirit Lake tribe in North Dakota. I'm a Dakota Sioux, a full-blood Dakota Sioux, and I've lived here all my life. I grew up on the reservation, went to school on the reservation, and so my whole life has been about Indians.
So you're a full-blooded Sioux, South Dakota. Thank you for that correction. And let me just ask you something. I thought we had concluded that the name the Washington Redskins was universally acceptable to the people that it should matter to, which are Native Americans, Eunice Davidson, like yourself. Now, all of a sudden, it's coming under fire again, coming out of the Black Lives Matter movement and things of that nature. But has anybody asked Native Americans what they think?
No, they really they don't. And you know, it was really ironic the other day. We were on a phone call with the Wall Street Journal. They interviewed us, and when the article came out, they didn't even mention us in there. So that's what we're dealing with. We cannot get our word out to anybody about how actual, real American Indians feel about these. On my reservation back in 2009, we had a vote supporting the Fighting Sioux name to keep it at the University of North Dakota. Our tribal members voted, and the largest turnout ever, to save the name at the University of North Dakota, and that was by 67%, over 67%, a 2-to-1 margin that we wanted to keep it there. And when our authorities in North Dakota, when they pushed and pushed, I mean, we did everything to save it. We're tribal members. We even passed a law to save it to our legislators. 9 months later, only to have the university authorities, so they're the ones that asking us to help them, and then they went against us. And they had that law taken down after 9 months. They used tactics that nobody was going to play us. Everybody said it was racist. They can't use it. We're going to hurt the athletics. I mean, it was awful what happened to us. And you never hardly hear about that.
So basically, Eunice, they want your input only if it agrees with them.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Right.
You know, John, if I could, I would really like to address this bloody scalps that everybody's hearing about.
Yes.
And, you know, the opposition uses the term bloody scalps, and they put it with the Redskins, you know, as if there's the same, which is a distortion and an outright lie. Mm-hmm. I've studied the 1862 uprising. Due to my own family tree, my genealogy, that's where all my ancestors were involved and came from. Mm-hmm. And, you know, the opposition uses the 1862 press release as their source. They're providing the connection. Right or wrong, there was a bounty or reward for dead Sioux hostiles. But you'll find no official publication connecting bloody scalps to that bounty. And, you know, and the word Redskins originates from the American Indian as they distinguished themselves as white skins and black skins. It was just a term they used to describe the color of their skin. If you go into any of the old journals, I found one in the Western Journal in St. Louis and from 1815 where Black Thunder speaks to William Clark, peace commissioner at the Portage de Sioux. He tells him, he says, I turn to all redskins and whiteskins and challenge an accusation against me. Mm-hmm. Another one is by Big Elk in 1822. He talks to President James Monroe. He says, the Great Spirit made my skin red, and he made us to live as we do now. These are from our own people. Mm-hmm. And growing up on the reservation, as I did all my years, went to school, I never heard my grandparents, I never heard my elders, I never heard any of them say anything bad about redskins. It was not a derogatory term to us. We just knew, and we called ourselves Redskins. We call ourselves Skins today, you know, as a come off of Redskins. So, you know, when they've come out with this bloody scalps, that is just the biggest hoax there ever was. That, you know, that Redskins was connected to that word.
You know, in a statement you put out the other day, Eunice Davidson, and we're with Eunice Davidson, she's the leader of the Native American Guardians Association. That's a national Native-led advocacy group fighting for the preservation of Native symbols and imagery in American life. She's based in South Dakota. She's a full Sioux. Here's part of your statement. I want to read it. You said, for the past 200 years, East Coast elites in the U.S. have attempted to tell America's Native population how to act, how to dress, how to worship in modern times. The corporate media wants to tell Native Americans when and how to be offended. You want to elaborate on that, Eunice?
Well, yes, because for one thing, like you said, they don't ask us. They don't talk to us. I mean, I've never seen anybody come on our reservation from any of the media, mainstream media, and talk to us about it. Not one. And they speak for us. I mean, I know we're the smallest minority in this country, but my God, this is our land. You think that if they really wanted to put an end to this issue, they would actually talk to real Native Americans in this country.
Well, they're not doing that because when they did, because let's just go back to the Washington Redskins name, and I'm not a Redskins fan, so I'm not part of the debate, but what really riveted me was when a lot of people in Virginia were trying to get the name changed, and they finally did a poll of Native Americans, right? This is about, 2000, maybe 15 or 17, something like that. They did a poll, and they found out that 90% or 9 out of 10 of Native Americans wanted the Washington Redskins to keep their name. Why doesn't that 90% matter now, Eunice?
Yeah, I don't know because they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that side of it. That's the whole thing. They just don't want to hear it. I'm really happy that I'm on your show this morning to be able to kind of explain that. Mm-hmm. When we did the Fighting Sioux issue in North Dakota back in 2000, it started in 2008 that we started. When we start coming out with all our Sioux members wanting to save the name and they loved it, you didn't hear about us anymore. They slowly kind of weeded us out, and they focused on the other tribe that was supposed to vote, and their tribal leaders never allowed them a vote. But what they do is they actually go to the tribal leaders who normally stand together with each other, and they say, no, we don't like it. That's who they're listening to. You will never hear them come out and say, well, I spoke to the tribal members. You go to Redskin Facts on Facebook, and you're going to hear tribal members from all over the country who are just actual tribal members, not leaders, who they support the Redskins name. Mm-hmm. We all do. Redskin, to me, it's a powerful name. It reminds me of a warrior, a brave warrior who has nothing but courage and strength. I know in my tribe in the back of the day when they went out to a war, they were honored to go out to that war, and if they died from it, they were honored that, to fight in the war and to fight for their people. So, the Redskin name to many of us is nothing but an honor name. It talks about us. I mean, even when I was a young girl, I had no idea any of this controversy about Redskins or anything like that. But whenever I did hear the word Sioux out in the public or out in the radio, I just thought, wow, that's just so neat that they talk about us. Mm-hmm. I was always honored. I never had anything bad thoughts about what they were calling us. Mm-hmm. To me, it was an honor, and that's how the majority of our people feel. I have friends in Navajo Nation. They even have a 505 Redskin Club in the Navajo Nation that have so many Native Americans in their group that just love the Redskin name. I mean, and they're all just total fans of the Redskins because of that name and because of that wonderful logo, that was given to them from a tribe out in Montana, the Blackfoot tribe. I believe it was Blackie Wetzel who actually was the one to design that, Why? Well, myself, I'm just kind of baffled. Why doesn't the media? Well, I'm not baffled anymore because for me, I know where it's coming from. I know this started from in our area. It started out from the academia. I even went up against some of these white professors who were calling me a racist because I wanted to save my name. And I asked them. I looked at that lady. I said, "What the hell are you talking about?" Right. I said, "I'm a whole blood. I'm trying to save our heritage, our name."
But see, they don't care. They don't care about that. That's all logic. And you're a Native American, and you're a full-blooded Sioux, and you represent Native Americans. And you did a poll, and 90% said the Redskins are fine. They're actually proud of the name. But see, nobody cares about it. This is the hypocrisy of it, Eunice. They don't care what you think. They only care what they think and what they feel is politically correct. I want to read one other thing in your statement, which I thought was fantastic. You said the latest effort to obliterate the name Redskins does not come from the American Indian population, but rather from journalists and academicians attempting to burnish their anti-racism credentials without any actual knowledge of the term or its history. In short, you said, who are the racists? Indians fighting to keep the name or non-Indians fighting to remove it? Great question. And elaborate on that.
Well, it's like I told you, we were out in Ohio and we wanted to debate the opposition, the Nazi mascot people. And while we were there, when we got done with them, we couldn't really have a debate. All they did was holler at us, so we didn't have a very good debate with them. But anyway, when I was packing up that day, packing up our computer and stuff, there were 3 white women sitting behind me, and they said this loud enough so I could hear it. One of them said, if these people were more educated, they wouldn't feel this way. And I turned around and I looked at her, and I said, excuse me. I said, listen, I said, if anyone is racist, I said, it is not me, it is you. I said, you are white, you're trying to get rid of my history and heritage. I said, by these names who do nothing but honor us. I said, you're telling me racist? I'm a racist? I'm the one that's going around the country trying to save our names and images. And yet we have to deal with people like you. And the one white lady had the gall to tell me, oh, my God, you called me racist. That hurts. And I said, well, now you know how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I mean,
Good
but
for you.
that's what I mean is they these people whoever all these ones are trying to chime in and talk about us, they're just hateful. It's a hateful race movement, I call it. They're against Native Americans. Whatever they want to do, they want to get rid of our history. I don't know. To me, it's always been when you want to abolish a culture, you get rid of the image.
No, look, you absolutely nailed it. You got these academicians and journalists and the media and others, and they want to burnish their anti-racist, woke, Black Lives Matter, whatever it is, their credentials, by now changing the name of the Washington Redskins that I thought had already been settled. We're with Eunice Davidson. She's the leader of the Native American Guardians Association. This is a national Native American-led advocacy group fighting for the preservation of Native symbols and imagery in American life. So, Eunice, let me ask you this. Do you want the name, the football name, the NFL name, Washington Redskins to stay?
Yes.
Why?
We do. Because it brings nothing but honor to us to be known in the national spotlight with a name like Redskins. It is a powerful name. I mean, do you think a team like that would want to pick out an old weekly name? I mean, something that doesn't mean anything? Of course not. All these teams want to be known as, for their strength and their courage, when they go out and play a football game or any kind of athletic sport. No, yesterday, since this has started in, I've heard from so many Native Americans across the country who have messaged me, who have emailed me, and they said, Eunice, if we could raise money and we could get to Washington, the reason we can't is because people don't have the money. We would love to have people, we would love to have money to bring in the Indians from all across the country to that FedEx field, and we would love to put on a powwow and a protest of our own to show the support in this country for the Native Americans. That would be something that we would do in a heartbeat. But we just don't have the funds ourselves to do it. A lot of us live on reservations. A lot of us, have jobs that we make just enough to get by on. So, that's one thing that I was so happy when this started up again. They don't know what to do. I mean, we can email or we can send in letters, but that's about all we can do to show our
Well, you got to
support.
get on shows like mine, Eunice, and you got to make your voice heard. One other thing that you said in your statement was a powerful statement, by the way. We're going to put it on our Facebook page. You said, at a minimum, we demand a vote by actual Native Americans, not woke journalists, on
Right.
this attempt to cancel our culture. It's wrong, un-American, and fundamentally racist.
Right. And, our motto, and for NAGA, we call ourselves NAGA, our motto is to educate, not eradicate. If people will go to our website, it's nagaeducation.org. You'll see on there that we're trying to align partnerships with other schools, trying to get some of our reservation schools to partner with these white schools who are native themed.
Right.
We want to keep and see, I've talked to many of the white schools around the country that are going through the same thing right now. They're fighting to save their Indian themed school name, and they want to learn about our culture. They want to know, how we live and, our past. And I've gotten letters. I've sent some emails out to like fifth graders that have asked for it in California, talking about how I grew up. I received thank you letters from many of these classes who kids never even met a Native American, and they're dying to learn about it. So I would love. That's something that we want to do. Is we want to have a school partnership with many around the country that have these Native themed schools.
Oh, look, I think you're spot on. I don't have a position on it, although if I was a Redskins fan, a Washington Redskins fan, I'm not. I'm a Tennessee Titans fan. I would probably not want to change my name, but I don't think it should be up to me. I think it should be up to Native Americans like yourself.
Exactly.
And when 90% say they don't want to change a name because they're proud of it, what does some white person have to say about it living in some other state? I mean, the whole thing is asinine to me. Hey, why don't they change a name? I got an idea. Why don't the same woke journalists attack the name of the New England Patriots, right? I mean, aren't we now having this debate over statues and Patriots and Independence Day, and they're tearing down Washington and Jefferson and all the people that started the country? Those are Patriots. Aren't they racist? Aren't they white? Let's get rid of the name the Patriots. I mean, that's what I would think. Why not do that? Why do they bother with the Redskins?
Well, I think given time they probably will, but I don't know. I just know that I'm so sick and tired of nobody talking to real American Indians in this country. Whether you live on a reservation or an Indian community, we need to be asked that question. Not any of these white professors or people who don't even know who we are. I mean, it's just.
Well, Eunice, they don't want to. Just like the Wall Street Journal interviewed you and never put you into the article because they don't care what you say. They interview you just to say they did. But at the end of the day, if your narrative, if your positions and your opinions of the people that you represent don't fit their narrative, you're out. Because all they're looking to do, they're not looking for news, they're not looking for facts, they're not looking to tell the truth, they're looking to support a narrative. And if what you say doesn't fit into it, you have no media coverage.
Right.
That's called fake news.
It is definitely fake news. I wrote a book back in 2012, 14, I think it was published. It's called Aren't We Sioux Enough? And the reason I wrote it was because of what happened to our Sioux tribe when we voted. The media was putting out there that we didn't want the name, that it was us. And I knew I was every step of the way.
What was that? That was the Fighting Sioux, right? The Fighting Sioux.
Fighting Sioux, yeah. And so I didn't want people to blame my people, the supporters. So I wrote a book on exactly what happened, and I named exactly the courts, the people involved, the State Board of Higher Ed, everything in that book, and I used resources. I used what they put out themselves. But I wanted people to know that it was not the Sioux. They wanted to blame the Sioux. They wanted it gone, and they wanted us to be blamed. But I did not want that to happen. So I wrote a book. It's called Aren't We Sioux Enough? And it's ironic. I took my name from a federal judge in Fargo when we took the NCAA to court. We didn't get much of an argument in court, but he did say this to the NCAA attorney. He told him, he said, "I got to ask you," he said, "how many Chippewa tribes do we have in the United States?" And he said, "Well, quite a bit." He said, "How many Seminole tribes do we have in the United States?" And he said, "Well, quite a bit." And he looked at about 10 of us that brought the lawsuit from our Sioux tribe. We were sitting there, and he looked at us and kind of pointed at us, and he said, "Aren't they Sioux enough?"
Eunice Davidson, she's the leader of the Native American Guardians Association, a national Native American-led advocacy group fighting for the preservation of Native symbols and imagery in America, and she is a supporter of keeping the name the Washington Redskins.